Okay, we're going to be doing page 12 of your FSA Warm-Ups Grade 5 packet. If you've watched the videos for page 10 and page 11, you should have now collected a total of 6 letters for a prize. On this last video, I'm going to give you your last 3 letters, so you will have 9 letters to spell one word. Submit that on a paper with your name on it, and then you will be put in a drawing for a special treat. You won't want to share the word because then you're less likely to win the treat. Okay, so the right rectangular prism shown has a length of 6 centimeters and a width of 3 centimeters and a height of 4 centimeters. I'm going to determine which of the equations can be used. I know that volume is equal to my length times my width times my height, or volume is equal to big B times H. Remember that big B represents your base, and there's my base, so 6 times 3 is my base. When I look at the first response, it says 18 times 4. And I knew that the 4 was my height, but I was trying to figure out, well, where did they get the 18? And what I realized is that 18 is actually my big B. It's my base, because 6 times 3 does equal 18. So your first one is yes, it's correct. When looking at the next one, it says 6 plus 3 times 4. Now I do see a 6 and a 3, but I know when I'm doing volume that I'm multiplying and I'm not adding them together, so that one is a no. Moving on to my next one, it says volume is equal to 6 times 3 times 4, which is perfect, length times width times height, so that's a yes. Going into my last one, volume is equal to 9 times 4. And when I look up here, I don't see anything that indicates the 9. I do see that 6 and 3, and if I would add them together, it would equal 9, but I don't add volume, so that one is not going to work. Moving down to number 67, don't forget, if I'm going too fast, pause, rewind, do what you got to do. So I'm using the tiles to solve the expression, and those number tiles is just to simulate if you had a drag and drop, so don't get distracted by them. Okay, the first one says 35 and 5/10 divided by 10 to the power of 0, which is the same thing as saying multiplying or dividing, in this case dividing by 10 0 times. Which means if I'm dividing by 10 0 times, I'm not moving my decimal at all. So my answer should be 35 and 5/10. It should not have changed, again, power of 0. Looking at my next one, I am dividing by 10. And there's 1 0, so I'm moving it over 1 time. And I do need to be moving it to left so it gets smaller because I'm dividing. So you should have got 3 and 55 hundredths. The next one is 35 and 5/10 divided by 10 to the power of 2. Again, that power of 2 is telling me to move my decimal point over 2 times, which would give me 355 thousandths. Again, THT, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, that's in my thousandths place, and I put a 0 in front to hold my whole number position. Now I'm going to move up here to the top. These ones I haven't completed yet, so I'm going to do them right along with you. 2 newspapers are comparing the sales from last year. The Post sold 34,859 copies. The Tribune sold 34,859 times 1/2 copies. Which statement compares the numbers of newspapers sold? So I do know that they have 34,859, and I know that they actually have half of that exact same number. Remember that multiplication symbol can represent the word of. Also, a rule that I know is that when I multiply a given number by a number less than 1, my answer should be less than this. So if I'm multiplying this times a fraction less than 1, when I actually multiply it out, I'm going to have less than the number I started with. So which statement compares? Let's see. Is A correct? The Post sold half the number of newspapers than the Tribune. Nope, they weren't the ones with half, so that one's not correct. The Tribune sold half the numbers that the Post did. Tribune sold. Oh, yeah, that one works, but I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to go ahead and check through all of them, see if there's anything else, or if I'm in error. The Tribune sold twice the number of newspapers that the Post sold. So here's the Tribune. No, they didn't sell twice. They only sold half as much, so that one's not going to work. The Post sold the same number of newspapers that the Tribune sold. And no, that one does not work either. A note that I could make, which was not an answer choice, is that if the Tribune sold half as much, that also means that the Post sold twice as much. Your answer choice down here said that the Tribune sold twice as much, but in fact, the Post did. Okay, let's go here. It says use the given tiles to complete each statement. Each tile can only be used once. So a blank is always a parallelogram. Remember, parallelogram is up towards the top. Well, I definitely know it's not a trapezoid. Well, no, yeah, trapezoid, parallelogram. Nope, not that. Let's see. A blank is always a rhombus. Now, why I moved down from 1 is because what I was thinking about is always a parallelogram. It could be a square or a rectangle, so I'm going to have to move on and figure out what needs to go there.